Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is nominated for 5 Oscars this Sunday, including for hairstylist Camille Friend. She joined me to discuss her approach to designing the intricate hairstyles of Letitia Wright's Shuri and Angela Bassett's Ramonda, especially in mourning after the death of Chadwick Boseman.
My name is Camille Friend, aka Hair Guru, and I am the department head hairstylist on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Oscar nominated.
Yes, don't bury the lead there. Yes, congrats, an Oscar nominee. Now, what was it like hearing that news on Oscar nomination day?
So let me say this. So I have had, this was my 3rd time. So I've been on the short list 3 times. You know, that's exciting to get on the short list.
Sure.
Then you go to the Bake Off 3 times. And then you wake up in the morning on that Oscar day 3 times. And 2 times I woke up, no go. So then you go back to bed and then you cry.
So this time, what was it like this time?
Charm. I mean, I was sitting with one of my good friends, Evelyn Feliciano, and also a colleague. She worked on Black Panther, and my manager, Alicia DeAnda. And we were sitting there, and I was just like sitting there, and literally I was like this. And so when they announced the first one, All Quiet on the Western Front, that's my friend. So I was like, yes, I was happy for her.
Happy for your friend. Yeah.
Right. And then they said Batman. And I said, then I heard Black. That's all I heard. I didn't hear my name. I didn't hear anything else, but I heard Black, and I knew, and I saw it on the screen. And it's just, I was over the moon. Just so exciting. It's something I've dreamed about, prayed about, meditated about, cried about. You know, it's something in our career that we all, I don't know if we all want it, but I know a lot of people want it. And it's a great recognition. And I'm having the time of my life.
Well, it sounds like it. The excitement is just exuding through the screen. It's awesome. Well, and I want to get into Wakanda Forever in a second, but we should remind our listeners that you were the hair department head on the original Black Panther as well, right? But you're just saying it wasn't nominated. I mean, it did win several. It won original score, production design, and costume design for the great Ruth E. Carter, first African American to win for costume design. So what was it? Let's talk about that movie first. The first Black Panther. Rest in peace, Chadwick.
Rest in peace.
What was it like getting called in to do this whole fully formed world of Wakanda? That's what's special about it to me. It was, it wasn't just a regular superhero movie. We got to see this whole world that Ryan Coogler was building, and you were a huge part of that. So what was it like to just have a whole crew filled with, talented Black artisans?
I mean, incredible. I'll just tell you briefly the story. So I was working on Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with James Gunn. So I got the phone call from Nate and from Ryan. And, at first, I'm just going to be honest. I want to do Avengers because I was like, I wanted the biggest movie at Marvel. So I was like, I want to do Avengers. And Nate was like, Camille, fine. I was like, okay. I said, but are we really going to do Black Panther? Are we really going to do tribal looks? Are we just going to water it down? Because I want to be authentic. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it up here. I want to do it in excellence. And, and I was like, okay. And so they told me, we're really going to do it. Ryan was like, Camille, we're going to really do tribal hair. You're going to be able to do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, well, sign me up. So, that was really the truth, because if we're going to do something authentic, that's like so many people have said, and journalists, like Black Panther 1 was a love letter to Black hair. And that's all I could ask for. We got to experience so many things, building our tribes, using so many looks, from braids to locks, to just all kind of Black hairstyling on natural hair. And that was something that hasn't been done or people hadn't seen. So probably on the first one, they were probably shocked, but now they're with us with the hair.
Yes, of course. And Wakanda Forever, I thought it was a really well done follow-up. After we lost Chadwick and everything, it was almost like, how are you going to follow it up? But I thought it was done very respectfully, paid tribute to him. But also it was just an interesting script. Even the villain had, some, you could kind of understand where he's coming from, like similar to Killmonger. But it was just well done. I thought it should have got, if Avatar 2 is getting nominated, it should have had a Best Picture nominated. Whatever. I'm glad you're not.
I'm gonna have to, and I agree with you 100%. Look, there could have been no Black Panther 2. Let's just call it that. Yeah. When a franchise loses their star, it could have been like Marvel could have scrapped it and gone on. They have many great properties. They could have just moved on. But
people would have understood too. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because a lot of people felt that way. Like, what are you guys gonna do? I think when the announcement came up that, when they announced that they weren't going to ever replace T'Challa in that sense or recast somebody in his role, I think that really helped the fans and they were really happy. And it gave us all like a sigh of relief. So that was something that we were lucky. And, this movie really is a testament to who Chadwick was. And, it's something that we got to go and we got to like take it even further. And he loved this franchise. Like, he loved the hair. Like, I know he loved the hair because he told me all the time. He loved what we were doing with the hair. Even, I'll tell you, when we did Q&As for the first one, people would ask me hair questions and Chadwick would answer for me because it's like he really loved the hair. So, us doing this again is really a testament to him and his vision and everything that he put forth in the first Black Panther.
I love it. And of course I could, as a movie critic, talk, the character arcs and stuff of these characters in Wakanda Forever. But I want to know from your perspective as, as a hair guru, self-proclaimed hair guru, Oscar-nominated hair guru.
That's right.
Could you provide some examples of what goes into, I don't know, doing Angela Bassett's hair for Ramonda or doing, I don't know, Letitia Wright is sure, give me an example of how you craft each of those hairstyles.
No, I mean, and that's a great question. So this is how we did it. So when talking to Ryan early on, talking about what this movie's about, this movie is about the women. It's about the relationships. It's about mourning Chadwick, but it's about the relationships of the women. So this was a very strong women movie. And what we wanted to convey is, so in West African culture, people cut their hair in mourning. So if we went into that theory, what would Shuri and Ramonda look like if they were in mourning and they had cut their hair? So that was where I started in my design process. So with Ramonda, of course, in the first movie, she had those beautiful platinum, silvery, beautiful locks. So we wanted to keep her in the same shade. I always hate when people change people's hair colors through a series of movies. It's like, keep it the same. So keep it the same, keep it familiar. So keeping it in that, but giving her hair a shape which mimics the crowns that she wears, the hats that she wears that Ruth Carter does so beautifully. So making her hair look like a crown because she is royal. And then taking Shuri's character. And in the first one, she had the braids, but she had the shaved sides. And, in the first one, she was she was kind of like the kid, she brought really a lot of laughter to the movie. Where in this movie, she's a different woman. She's a young woman who is evolving, who is in the grieving process, and she's discovering who she is. So we want to give her something more grown up. So we used her hair texture, which is still, like a 4C texture. And we, 2-strand twisted it, but we left her side shaved and her back shaved. So it looked in the same silhouette as the first one.
How about for the villain Namor? What sort of stuff goes into that hairstyling?
So Namor was something I was so excited about exploring the whole Talakanil, whole enterprise, because they're going to be their own franchise, which is so fabulous.
And underwater hair is it's a whole
underwater hair. So we wanted to honor also the Mayan culture, the Latin culture, the same culture appropriate that we used on the first one, we used with the Mayan culture. We also had a professor, Professor Aldana, who's a professor in Mayan studies. So we used him really as our researcher and somebody who we could just we could pick up the phone and call him and he gave his answers. Because this is a culture, if you go on the internet, I mean, most of it's not really right, because it's a culture that really went away, that was been dead. So we really went to him as our go-to. I mean, he could tell me things like this. He could tell me where the hairstyle was for a married woman or somebody who was a single woman, what the men look like and the ranking. So that was really helpful. But getting back to Namor, that was something I look at the comic book, Namor, AKA Submariner. So looking at everything he had, how his look, he always had that widow's peak. He had a very, square hairstyle. So I was like, how can we do, instead of doing a flat top, but do something that's modern, something that's going to be, you know, kind of funky for the girls. You know, the girls like it. Even a lot of the boys like Namor too. You know, going into those and just giving him that really square look, but giving him, you know, like we cut the sides really short, but left it in the back, you know, give him a little fro hawk, but something that just looked different, but looked modern, but still made him look like Namor the Submariner.
Absolutely. And when our listeners tune in to watch on Oscar night, and they're going to all be rooting for you after watching this, of course, they're going to see, obviously, the category. It's not just the hairstyling. It's, you know, best achievement in makeup and hairstyling.
Yes,
And they even on, you know, set lists or call sheets, it's hair and makeup, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be you, Camille Friend, and Joel Harlow. So are you doing anything with the makeup, or is that where Joel comes in and they combine the category?
That's totally where Joel comes in. And I just want to say, Joel is a fabulous collaborator, one of the most talented hair and talented makeup artists I've ever worked with. What he did with like the Tala Camille, like, you know, the little things you see, like the gills here. Like, you know, if you watch the movie, when everybody watches the movie, when you watch it again, look for the gills on the Tala Camille's, the respirators, you know, all the jeweled pieces on the ears, like all of those things, turning people blue. Like all of those things are all Joel's creations, and he did such a wonderful job. And you know, where we meet is somewhere like right in here, and the hairline is all the way around. You know, that's where it stops and it starts. But you know, we work together as a team, definitely.
Oh, my wife was geeking out watching the whole thing. She totally loves every like hair and makeup and the gills and the mask. Like,
oh, yay!
And
Tell her thank you.
I will. So you and Joel are with the hair and makeup, and then of course, how closely do you work with Ruth in the costume design? Because like you're saying, you and Joel meet around here along the hairline.
Yeah,
but Ruth might be right above it if they're wearing something in the costume, like so.
And that's totally correct. So Ruth meets us on top of the wig. So, you know, all the headpieces that the Tala Camille wore, you know, that the Namor and you know, everybody in that whole, you know, crew, Namora and Alex, what they wore, Atumla, excuse me, Alex Atumla, what he wore, all of those headpieces were custom made by Ruth, and they were absolutely gorgeous. Like our job really is to get them attached to the head, but all those were made by Ruth.
Oh, I just love, there's so much craftsmanship and artistry that goes into all of this. Like there's so much that just a casual viewer or Marvel fan like doesn't even realize, but it's like all just hitting us all subconsciously all at once. It is amazing to me. Well, it's up for 5 Oscars. You're one of them. And but I know the big one I know is Angela Bassett. Can she win finally for supporting actress? A, why does she deserve it for this? And B, it's the Oscars always kind of does this, and I'm fine with it here because she's so great. But like it's kind of like a career award. We're all rooting because she should have won for Tina Turner and all these other roles. But you know, or Boys in the Hood, she's done so many. But like, is this finally the time?
This is the time. I'm going to say this about Angela Bassett. People who don't know, when she walks into the room, she changes the temperature. She is a lady who is kind. She is nice. She's a professional. And she's a real wife. She's a real mother. She's a real friend. So like, she's all like the things that she would want your bestie to be. She is that. So, you know, and when the camera rolls, like, I'll put it this way, like on the first Black Panther, I'll never forget her camera test. Her camera test, she didn't just walk in and just be herself. She was Queen Ramonda when that camera rolled on the camera test. Nice. And everybody was like, oh, because it like took your breath away because she was already there, she was in it, and she set the bar. So, you know, that's what she set the bar for greatness for all the other actors. So it's something I love Angie, and like to be able to, you know, design hair for her is it's a lot of fun because she's a woman who's played every kind of woman and she's had every type of hairstyle. So I was always thinking about, how can I make her look different? You know, because she's done so many beautiful roles and plays so many iconic characters. So this is the time. Go, Angie, go.
Go, Angie, go. Yes, we're all going to be rooting for all of you guys. Well, before we run, you've been generous with your time, but I want to know a little bit of, to steal a phrase, I want to know your superhero origin story. You know, you grew up, what was it, Tempe, Arizona? Is that right?
Tempe, Arizona. I'm a zoning.
A zoning. How'd you make your way to Hollywood or the film industry in general?
I have the boring story of like most girls. I followed a boy to LA. And I ended up in LA. And honestly, I just really fell into the film industry. I got a call to curl some wigs for a movie which was called Thin Line Between Love and Hate, and curl some wigs for an actress named Lynn Whitfield. So I went over there and I curled some wigs and did what I do. And next thing I know, they're whispering, they're like, this movie's gonna go union. I'm like, what's the union? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And literally I went there and literally fell into the union. And as I say, God planned this career. I didn't. I just kind of fell into it, and I just keep going. And he gives me the strength and the knowledge and the courage. And it's also my ancestors. I'm a third generation hairstylist. Yeah. So, it's something that is part of me. It's part of my family. And I'm so glad that I get to make my family proud at a different level. Like, I've been getting calls. My cousins are like, you took the family trade to the next level, Cammy. I said, I sure did.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I invite our listeners, because there's no time to go through all of your credits, but I invite them to go look at them and they will be blown away. I know, just like at a quick glance, you've been in the hair department styling like Oscar-winning roles, like, Jamie Foxx and Ray, you worked on that. Octavia Spencer in The Help, you worked on that. Like, there's been so many over the years, and not to mention just like really fun movies too, like The Hangover or Django. There's so many, but is there any one particular that isn't Black Panther that you look back on that our listeners should go back and look at the hairstyling in particular that you're particularly proud of in hindsight?
You know what movie I really love? And recently I had a conversation, honestly, at the Oscar nominee luncheon with Steven Spielberg, because he produced The Help.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about The Help and like how all those women after The Help, their careers just blew up.
How many Oscar winners came from that cast?
Yeah, you know I mean? That's almost like an Oscar class picture in itself.
Yeah, right.
So, it's really awesome, like, to be a part of projects like that. Like, that's a project I'm proud of the hair. And like, even one of my favorite Marvel movies, if I toot my own horn, is, Captain America Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier truly is quintessentially my favorite Marvel movie. Yeah.
And that was in DC. So in DC, we have a special love for Winter Soldier with all the CIA Redford.
I'm going to tell you something. I so remember, like, we were right there and like going to the Smithsonian, like at lunchtime, like running from the trailer to get to the museum and do everything in the short time that we were there. Yeah. But like, I love DC, and like, I also was, in DC, Madam C.J. Walker's foundation also had given me an award during that time. So I really love DC. I got a lot of friends in DC, and shout out to everybody in DC. I have a lot of love there. I love you guys.
Well, we'll all be rooting for you, and that because if and when you win, let's say when, we gotta manifest good stuff. Yeah. If and when you win, then maybe some of the stuff from the Oscar-winning movie can be donated back to the Smithsonian, so it'll be full circle.
You know what? That would
or the Black History Museum too. We could put the Oscar.
No, and I've been to all of them. I'm a big museum girl anyway. When you travel a lot of times you're alone in these cities. So one thing I found is a really good friend is a museum. So I have been to museums all around the world, all different kind of museums, just because I like it's something to keep your mind occupied. Yeah. It's almost like you can always go, you can be quiet, and you can learn something for the day.
A really good Camille friend is a museum, is what you're saying. There you go. That's how we bring it in. Well, anyway, thank you so much. We could talk all day. Like, even Jordan Peele's Us, you had to create 2 looks for each character. I mean, it's just amazing the stuff you've worked on. But thank you so much. Again, it's Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I think you can stream it on Disney Plus now. Yeah, it's been long enough.
Disney Plus, and watch the behind the scenes, people. Don't forget the behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Well, good luck on Oscar night. We're all rooting for you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. That's right.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.